Ah, the Frostheart Phoenix, one of the most beautiful unit models in-game, unfortunately one of the worst monsters in the game. We'll be talking today about how to buff it a little bit. We've got Falcon once again taking his Knights of Calidor, and a massive vanguard of 5 Shadow Warriors. If you saw my video yesterday about Searing Doom, then you'll recognize this build's more or less the same. Got a little bit of a different cavalry composition with Reavers and Silver Helms. No Lions this time, just all Reavers and Silver Helms. And we're up against Norsca. Got a whole bunch of Marauders here. They've got 2 Mammoths, Wolfric, and a War Shrine. Balefiend, Lord of Shadows, Famir with great weapons, bunch of Berserkers, and Marauders, few Horsemen, and Wolves. So definitely this kind of kite hit-and-run build. Unfortunately, Norsca, other than just having a massive amount of HP, like they don't have any counter-skirmish, they do have a little bit of mobility here that's going to get summarily eaten up by some Illyrian Reavers. They didn't take the charge directly, but still not looking great. But anyway, back to the Frostheart Phoenix. So, in terms of a unit role, like, the Frostheart Phoenix is meant to be more of a tank monster than a damage output monster. I do concede to that point. But look at this 35 melee attack for a unit of this expensive. Only 40 charge bonus as well means it's only ever hitting max 75 melee attack on the charge, especially against units with higher melee defense. That really isn't a lot. 400 weapon strength, also okay. It's not amazing, especially for a monster of this cost, but it's definitely there. And it does have this little debuff aura here. If we have a look, minus 9 melee attack, I believe, in an AoE, and minus 12% armor piercing in base, which is pretty strong. That is a pretty nice debuff aura. Essentially, it gives it effectively 58 melee defense, right? Because you're debuffing all your opponent's melee attack by 9. Also gets the benefit of damage resistance while you have high winds of magic, extra 12% damage resistance, which is quite nice. And I believe it has magic damage baseline even without that. But anyway, you can see Norscan forces making their way forward here. Do draw out a big cavalry engagement, but Berserkers being nicely focused by all these Shadow Warriors here. Famir also just absolutely completely surrounded here, and you can see the Frostheart Phoenix is going to dive in on a rear charge, basically, and try and get, I'm not sure if it's targeted on the Balefiend or the Famir themselves. It gets a couple of attacks in here, but then guess what? The real monsters come to play. 2 Mammoths, and I mean, granted, I would not expect the Frostheart Phoenix to be able to win this situation by any means, but it is now going to start to take some horrific damage. I will say it's not doing any attacks in return, because Falcon's trying to bail it out here. He's trying to move through the Famir, which, yeah, unfortunately there's no actual avenue of escape now. It is fully, completely surrounded. But, yeah, just getting absolutely crumped. You know, the damage resistance, melee defense, really not helping a whole lot, especially given the fact that it's facing away there. But let's see, can he actually bail the Phoenix out? Right now, it is actually tanking damage relatively well, and maybe not even getting fully attacked by everything here, but at the very least, distracting a bunch of things, holding them in place, which I guess you could argue is its role. But it just, considering it's a Frost unit, and there is a misconception in the community for a long time that this thing actually had some slowing effects, it does not, in fact, have any slowing aura or Frostbite, which Norsca, appropriately enough, has a lot of Frostbite. I do feel that's one thing they could do to buff the Frostheart Phoenix, would be to give it Frostbite. It would make it that much better at actually tar-pitting units and holding them in place. I mean, it does have very high speed itself, so you could keep that Frostbite applied consistently to a target, for example, that's trying to kite you. Alternately, you could give it the actual slowing aura that, like, the Chill guys have, for example. I wouldn't recommend you give both, like what the Frost Worm has. That would probably be a little bit too much when combined with the melee defense debuff, but I do think something like Frostbite would definitely help. Phoenix does manage to survive for the time being, though. We've got the Shadow Warriors focusing on the Mammoths. 70 armor on the Mammoths is pretty decent. It will help somewhat, but also a lot of that damage is going to be getting through, depending on dice rolls. Let's see, the Phoenix now disengaged, coming up and around. Hopefully can get an engagement here and actually generate some damage value. Yeah, we'll see, though. Going to be hard to say. Frostheart Phoenix dives in, and just look at that pitiful amount of damage. I mean, granted, Mammoths have a ton of HP, so as a percentage of its HP, that piddly little attack really doesn't do much. But just, I mean, even still, in a, like, really nice rear charge situation, you would expect it to do some damage there, but no, still, less than 200 damage value. even with the attacks it did get in there. So let's see. Let's keep his damage value up as he charges in. Oh, went up to 222 there with just another attack. Oh, 287. You just, even attacking a super high value target like this, I mean, granted, again, probably because it has so much HP to get through, it's not actually generating all that much. You can see there, it generates a little bit. Yeah, the weapon strength, and I get weapon strength on the Eagle and Phoenix type units, the Feagles, they're meant to be a little bit lower, right? And that the benefit should be in the speed and charge bonus, but the charge bonus is just not there for these guys. I mean, they have less charge bonus than an Eagle, right? Eagle's got 62 charge, 420 weapon strength with the Archmage up on there, but yeah. 354 damage value, so if you go back and watch, again, the video I did probably a couple days ago about Searing Doom, and then check this one, you add those two values together and it still hasn't paid for itself. And in fact, there was a third battle that I'm not going to show you that was actually the first battle played, but I'll splice in right here the damage value from that battle on the Frostheart Phoenix. Falcon more or less brought the same build, and you can see over the course of 3 battles, 3 wins nonetheless, one of the best players in the world wasn't able to get enough damage value to pay for itself. Oh, yeah, so, I mean, I get that it's meant to be a defensive monster, so to speak, but it's just the damage needs to be better. The damage output and the melee attack especially. We'll talk more about that in just a second. In terms of this battle, Shadow Warriors once again doing some heavy lifting, not so much on the, it was actually a Fire Archmage this time rather than Metal, which makes sense. Yeah, all the Shock Cavalry doing a pretty decent job. Reavers, very cost effective here. Oh, literally 0 kills. On the Frostheart Phoenix feels bad. On Norsca's side, pretty good damage value on the Marauders. Berserkers obviously got focus fired very effectively, and the Mammoths likewise did as well. But just to kind of finish up here with some comparisons, just so you understand how actually awful the damage output on this guy is, let's compare some birds and phoenixes, right? So we've got the basic Grey Eagle here with no mount, 390 weapon strength, so almost the same total weapon strength, granted, no lack of armor piercing, but keep in mind the Grey Eagle is literally less than half the cost of the Frostheart Phoenix, right? It's got 22 more charge, it's got 9 more melee attack, 10 more speed, a leadership, armor, health, all significantly lower, as you'd expect. Again, the Frostheart Phoenix, 18 melee defense, pretty significant. 10 more weapon strength overall, and again, that should be seen as really like, yeah, but 57 melee defense because of the -9 melee attack aura, which is a significant difference. I will give you that, but the lack of offensive stats here on the Frostheart Phoenix for the cost just make it such a prohibitive monster to bring. I mean, even the Flamespire Phoenix has 14 more charge bonus, has significantly less weapon strength, but you know, and I wouldn't even expect the Frostheart Phoenix necessarily to have a full-on 62 charge, but even bringing it up to like 48 to like 50 charge, I think would help significantly the Frostheart Phoenix not suck quite so much. Yeah, like 48, you know, 48 to 50, somewhere in that range, and maybe even a slight weapon strength increase. Maybe put it to a full-on dank 420. Rather than 400, so it's a little bit closer to the Arcane Phoenix. Just in comparison, other monsters in this cost range, right? You've got from Dark Elves, which again, not even seen as that great of a monster, 440 for the Hydra, which has regeneration and way more base HP. Yeah, so there's that. You know, other monsters similar in terms of cost. I'm trying to think. And obviously, you look at any Tomb King's monster in that price range. I mean, even the Bone Giants, which are supposed to be missile monsters, have 400 weapon strength, 480 for the Kemrian War Sphinx. I mean, again, granted, I get that it's flying monster. Flying monsters tend to have lower overall weapon strength, but I mean, 1800, it's not that much more to bring a Forest Dragon, which again, 440 weapon strength on this guy. So, like, plus 20 weapon strength, like plus 8 to 10 charge bonus, I think would help a lot for the Frostheart Phoenix, as well as giving it some kind of, and this may all be too much at the same time, but giving it some kind of frost slowing effect, whether that's Frostbite or what the chill guys have, right? This other chilling aura. think the Claw of Nagash has it as well. Yeah, minus 36% speed. Again, maybe this is arguably too much. Maybe the Frostbite is a better option since you actually have to be in melee to use it, but just something to accentuate the frost element of it to give that extra slowing effect and a little bit more damage output as well. And suddenly the Frostheart Phoenix would become actually a pretty good choice to bring as the High Elves. Just right now, like, it can tank damage sometimes, but low HP overall, plus, you know, some other factors means that it's pretty bad. Maybe one of the worst monsters in the game right now. So please buff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching this one. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. See you next time.